It has been officially announced that the boxing legend Manny Pacquiao will face the current undefeated and unified welterweight champion of the world Errol Spence Jr. on August 21st. There's been some rumors that the fight could be cancelled given the fact that Pacquiao has recently been sued, but Pacquiao's team assures everyone that the fight will happen in August no matter what. Since Manny Pacquiao has been inactive professionally for almost 2 years now, he no longer holds the championship belt he won after beating Keith Thurman in 2019. This means that this upcoming bout between Spence and Pacquiao will be considered a title defense for Spence Jr., since he is the only one risking championship belts in this fight. Let's remember that Errol Spence Jr. holds 2 championship belts, the IBF belt that he has held since 2017 and the most recent WBC belt that he won after beating Shawn Porter in 2019. So we could say that in this fight, Errol Spence Jr. is risking his 2 championship belts, his perfect undefeated record, and a big chunk of his future in boxing. Because let's be honest, losing to a 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao won't be good for his career. We saw what happened to Keith Thurman since he lost his belt and his perfect record to Pacquiao in 2019. Thurman pretty much disappeared from boxing and we are still awaiting his return. On the other hand, Manny Pacquiao is pretty much risking his health and his career. As I just mentioned, Pacquiao is 42 years old, so if he gets beat up badly by Spence, then I think he will probably call it quits for his career and finally retire from professional boxing. So if Spence loses, he will lose championship status, his record, and will probably get some backlash for a year or two from fans and mainly other fighters. And if Pacquiao loses, then he might retire from boxing completely. I would say there are really high stakes for both fighters, and that's why this fight is so appealing to most fans. A fight between a legend and a young champion. If I had to guess, I would say that Errol Spence Jr. will probably be the favorite to win the fight. He is in his prime, he's an undefeated champion that has fought people like Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter, Kell Brook, and Mikey Garcia. And he's considered to be one of the top 5 best fighters in the world right now by pretty much all fans and all boxing analysts. Yes, it's true that Pacquiao is one of the greatest of all time, but at 42 years old and about 2 years of inactivity, it will be hard for him to be a favorite. However, if there's anyone that can prove everyone wrong, it's Manny Pacquiao. A lot of people thought he would lose against Thurman in 2019, and not only did he beat Thurman, but he dropped him in the first round of the fight. Pacquiao has always been an anomaly that shocks the world and provides the fans with unforgettable fights and moments. What I'm trying to say is that I wouldn't be surprised if the betting odds were close. I think the closer we get to fight day, the more people will think that Manny Pacquiao could shock the world once again, making the odds really close for fight day. As far as how will the fight go down, I think it will depend a lot on Manny Pacquiao's stamina. No matter how good Pacquiao is, he will for sure get tired faster than Spence. We saw how Pacquiao did extremely well in the first rounds against Thurman in 2019. But if we're being real, we have to admit that it wasn't an easy win for Pacquiao. The Filipino legend struggled in the mid and late rounds against the younger champion. You don't need to look further than the judges' scorecards to know that the fight was really close. So Pacquiao will have to be very careful to not burn out in the first half of the fight, because if he does, then it will probably be game over for Pacquiao in the later rounds. If Pacquiao starts all out from the first round, sure, he might beat up Spence pretty good, might even knock him down, but I think it will be pretty much impossible for him to knock Spence out. I think Pacquiao should try to outwork Spence in the first half without going all out, so he can survive and score some points and win some rounds in the second half. Obviously, getting a knockdown in his favor early in the fight will benefit him later on. However, if he burns out trying to get a knockdown, he won't be able to deal with Spence in the last rounds. As far as what we can expect from Spence, I think he will be cautious throughout the whole fight and explode on occasion when he feels he has a chance to hurt Pacquiao. I would like to say that Spence will probably be the aggressor and fight going forward the whole time, but we have never seen Pacquiao fight on the back foot, so Spence will probably be the one fighting going backwards for a while. But Spence is skilled enough to fight going forward or backwards, so it shouldn't be an issue for him. So, if I had to guess, I would say the fight will consist of an explosive Pacquiao in the first half with Errol Spence being cautious, and then much more dominant rounds from Spence in the second half of the fight, since that's when Pacquiao will be tired and Spence will have an advantage over him. But then again, this is my prediction. Feel free to disagree and leave your opinions in the comment section below. I think most of us believe that Manny Pacquiao in his prime would have been able to beat Errol Spence Jr. and that the only reason that Spence has a chance against Pacquiao today is because Pacquiao is 42 years old. Pacquiao had more power, speed, and probably better technique as well. I'm not saying Spence isn't good, Spence is great, but Pacquiao is one of the best ever. So the main disadvantage for Pacquiao is his age. The older you are, the slower you get. Your reaction time gets worse, You see the punch, but your body can't respond in time and you start getting hit by punches you used to avoid all the time. And of course, you get tired faster. However, even though Pacquiao isn't as good as before, he still is really good. The question here isn't if Pacquiao can still compete at a high level. We know he can. The question is if he can win at the elite level. The other thing we need to consider is Pacquiao's inactivity. He hasn't fought in over 2 years. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Gym training and sparring is not the same thing as a real fight, so if you spend a long time without fighting, your body starts losing its edge and struggles in the first rounds of the next fight you have. But for older fighters like Pacquiao, you could claim that a long inactivity is good for them. Since they are older, their bodies take longer to heal, so being out of the ring for almost 2 years means that Pacquiao had plenty of time to recover and work on his conditioning and stamina. So is a rested Pacquiao better than an active one at this point in time? Feel free to let me know in the comment section below. The advantages that Pacquiao has over Spence are his experience and his KO punch power. We all know that Pacquiao has the best resume currently in boxing, and we all know that Pacquiao has always been known for his KOs and his punching power. That's why it isn't crazy to think that Pacquiao could hurt and even drop Spence. I do, however, find it difficult to believe that Pacquiao could knock out Spence. On the other hand, Errol Spence Jr. is faster, younger, in better shape, also has great KO power, and has great technique. The only thing that Spence lacks in comparison to Pacquiao is experience. Spence has never fought guys like Mayweather, Oscar de la Hoya, and many more legends like Manny Pacquiao has. But Spence has faced great recent fighters like Porter and Garcia. So even though it's true that Pacquiao has much more experience, we have to understand that Spence has beat some pretty big names as well. So after all the things I have said, it's only normal that Errol Spence Jr. is the favorite to win. However, I can't deny the fact that I hope Pacquiao shocks the world once again. But what do you think? Is Errol Spence Jr. going to beat Pacquiao up? Will it be a close fight? Or will Manny Pacquiao prove everyone wrong? Don't forget to leave your opinions in the comment section below. And remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the notifications bell. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video, goodbye.